What's in your wallet?
I'm so old.
I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5 explosive hot dog carts.
Ritualistic blood magic.
Laser shooting chesty statues.
Don't watch movies unless we tell you to. Welcome to Movies with My Best Friend Phil, a podcast where we yearn to be our younger selves. Dumber, less funny, but somehow more awkward than we are now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm your host, Phil Kessel, joined as always by two of my greatest old friends who are now old with me. Craig Norland.
Yes.
You being the oldest, I went with you first.
I mean, I am
At least 100.
probably 100 years old by now.
You've seen so many things in your lifetime.
I have. It's been a wild ride.
You saw the automobile invented, and then later on in your life, you saw a man go to the moon.
Yes.
Or did he? This is going to be a podcast about conspiracy theories. And here's our conspiracy expert, Will Chodas.
Hey, I'm the conspiracy expert, and by a conspiracy expert, I hate all conspiracy theories. So, yeah, sure. We'll talk. Yeah.
You don't believe in any conspiracy theories?
Not really. I mean, I guess
you
it
think
depends.
the government's batting 100?
No. Now, wait a minute.
Okay. Before anyone jumps down my throat, that's a Ron Funches joke.
Okay. You think?
So that's why it was actually funny.
That's why, and also it sounded like Ron Funches. No. I just mean like. I feel like people don't understand the difference between a conspiracy and a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I think when Watergate turned out to be true, it blew everyone's mind and broke open the conspiracy.
Broke so many people.
The conspiracy theory world's brains because they were like, wait, what? Do you know what I mean? Like, so to me, like any conspiracy theory I will listen to, but I'm not going to be convinced it's true by definition of it being a theory. Do you know what I mean? Like,
For sure.
So like, I feel like we don't, it's the same kind of people who say like, they saw a UFO. Oh my God, aliens are real. Well, hang on. Did they see a UFO that was classified as an alien flying object, or did they see an unidentified flying object?
Yes.
Because just not being able to identify something isn't proof of something else.
I don't know what this is, therefore it is this.
Yeah. Right. And so it's like that's not how it works. So yeah, that kind of stuff just drives me bananas because like it's like, oh, that's an interesting theory. I'll listen to it, but I'm not going to live my life as if it's true because it's a goddamn theory.
Yeah.
Which, of course, confuses people because then you start talking about scientific theory and how scientific theory is actually treated differently than conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
But nobody knows how to talk or think or anything anymore. Let's just drag this down.
Here's
I'm going to drag this further down.
It's going to get easier.
You're right. Yes.
It's going to, all the prices for all our groceries are going to drop, and it's going to be easier to talk about scientific theories.
Yes, because we finally have a truth teller in the White House again. And he'll tell the truth just like he did the first time he was telling. Well, he'll do it different. He'll do it better this time because this time he means it.
Yeah.
Before it was just a fun goof. He was just a goof and magoo. You know what I mean?
He was like juking to the right.
Yeah.
And so we fell for it, and then now he's coming in for the goal.
Yeah, now he's like
I think is what is probably Craig's giving me a look like he really agrees with this.
He's going to do it. He's going to do such a good job. And the reason why I know that is because I ignore every single thing he says and does.
Yeah.
So that's how I know it's going to be a great presidency.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a white man and apparently it won't affect me, even though we're learning that it's more about class, of which I am not in the right one. Anyways.
Yeah. Okay. But if you were the president of some form of media that you were recently enjoying, what would you be the president of?
I don't understand the question.
He's trying to say what's in your wallet.
He is?
Yes.
If I was recently the president...
No, if you were the president of something you were recently enjoying.
Some
like media format you were recently enjoying.
Okay.
What would you be the president of?
My wallet. That's right. It's time for the segment where we reach deep into our best friend's pants and pull out some recommendations.
I liked it. That was much better.
Yeah, I won't do it again.
Dang it.
It was too confusing for the audience.
Well, apparently for one of us, too.
Well, you guys are my audience.
What is being president of a media? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Hey, Craig, what do you got up in that wallet?
So we haven't done recommendations in forever.
Oh, yeah. What do you have, like 500 that you have to go through the list of?
No, I decided
it's not
to
an
be-
obligation. You don't have to do any of it.
I know.
You have to.
No.
So I decided not to do the thing that I usually do, and I'm just going to do one.
Oh my
That
God.
doesn't
Oh
make
my
sense.
God.
I only
Happy-
exist for content.
Happy
so.
New Year's to me, indeed.
Yes. So
Mhm.
a couple days after Christmas, I went and saw Nosferatu.
Oh,
I- I was like,
Dave goddamn Eggers.
Yes.
yeah, what?
Isn't that the guy?
Dave Eggers wrote that?
Or the Robert. Wait, what's his?
Dave Eggers is the
He's a
heartbreaking
writer.
work of
Yeah,
staggering
Robert.
genius.
Robert Eggers.
Robert
is the-
Eggers.
Oh, okay, because
Yeah.
I was going to say,
Dave, Rob, they're basically the same classic white guy name.
I mean, yes, but
They both create things.
uh,
Am I dumb? Yes, sometimes.
but anyways,
Nosferatu.
Oh no, yeah, Nosferatu. I was like,
Dave Eggers.
when we were like right in the middle of like all the Christmas stuff, and like Caitlin was wrapping presents and like getting really not stressed out, but she can just get really intense, which
Yeah.
of course stresses
She was
me
in
out.
the zone.
Yes, which stresses me out because I had really intense and angry parents. So when she gets intense, I'm like, somebody's mad at me. And
Oh,
she's
yeah.
like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know. I got to go sit down. Anyways, I was like, in the middle of it, I was like, would it be terrible if I just texted Phil and Craig right now and see if they would go see Nosferatu on Christmas Day and abandon my family? And then I realized I was saying that out loud, and Caitlin was like, yes, it would be terrible. And I'm like, oh, darn it.
Ah,
Oh no.
you got caught.
Yeah. So that was a fleeting thought in my brain. It's like, I just want to go see a movie. I want to do this.
So I went with coworkers of mine. We're gonna start going to see horror movies. We're gonna go see The Wolfman tomorrow.
Can
So
I
what
get
you
a
guys-
job at your work so I can go with you?
Maybe. So it is Robert Eggers or Dave Eggers,
Dave
depending
Eggers.
on who.
That's his nickname. That's what I call him.
Yeah, Dave
Yeah.
Eggers if you're fancy, you know? Or if you're a Gen Xer.
Dave Eggers if you're nasty.
Yeah. God. So this is his fourth film. The others being The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman, and The Nosferatu.
The Nosferatu.
Mm.
I haven't seen The Lighthouse, but I've seen the other two.
I have to watch both The Lighthouse and The Witch again, but I think it's up there with those ones. The Northman I was a little bit indifferent on, but I'd like to watch that one again too.
Oh, I really like that one.
But for anyone who doesn't know, Nosferatu, the original one, by F.W. Murnau, I believe is the name of the director. So they
I
were
thought the
trying
director's name was Nosferatu.
to. Yes, that's true. Yeah, Nosferatu.
Mhm. Yeah, Nosferatu is one of the most famous illegal bootlegs
Yes.
copyright movies of all time, because they basically were trying to do Dracula with enough changes so that they couldn't get sued.
Awesome.
And they still
Yeah.
got sued.
They still got sued. Well, because they did Dracula.
They did Dracula, and and they made the mistake of doing it while Bram Stoker's wife was still alive. And so she never saw the movie, but she still said, I want all the money from it. And they're like, we didn't make any money from this. And they're like, okay, well, destroy all of the prints. And luckily, a few of them made it.
Okay.
And so this was extremely close to being a lost film, like many of the silent films.
I knew she like was angry about it,
Oh yeah,
Which
she
to me-
tried to get rid of him.
which to me is like one of those moments where you're like, wait, the guy who wrote Dracula's wife was around when they were making movies. You know what I mean? And you're
Yeah,
just sort
it's
of
weird.
like,
that feels weird.
that feels like really weird. You know what I mean? Anyways,
So this movie, there's I want to say it was gosh, I can't remember who the director in the 80s was, but they did a version in the 80s, and I have not seen that one, but I've seen the silent version. This one is very much a lot of the same story, but it's like they took parts of Dracula that people know, like they took the Van Helsing character and put it back in, because the original Nosferatu has no Van Helsing in it. Kind of switched some of the relationships up, but it's, if you've seen Dracula, you've seen this, but the difference is Eggers is very adamant about having things be completely accurate as much as possible. And so you really feel like you were in an old German town.
Nice.
And like when he goes to Transylvania or
it's
wherever
like
it's
a lot of
supposed to be.
lederhosen and yodeling.
Yes, there's a lot of very strange villagers doing weird dances and stuff, and you're like, oh, this is freaking me the fuck out.
Hell yeah.
So they definitely made some choices when it comes to Nosferatu himself, but it's so interesting and honestly just really cool, the whole thing, and he's terrifying.
Awesome.
And everyone is good in it. Like Nicholas Hoult is very good.
Well, I guess Nosferatu is probably a bad guy.
Yeah, probably.
Boom.
Who does Nicholas Hoult play? Does he play the Renfield type character? Because I think he already did that.
He already did that. No, he plays the Harker character. I forget what his name is in this.
He's like the closest they have to like the male lead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you have Willem Dafoe as the Van Helsing character, and he's, just chewing the scenery, which is all you need him to do. And then Lily Rose Depp, which is Johnny Depp's daughter, plays the Mina character, and she's very good in this. So I highly recommend it. It was fun because my coworker, his son works with us, and he's never watched any of the Nosferatu. He doesn't really know anything about it. He hasn't seen anything with Dracula. So it was fun to take him and have him experience the whole thing, because he imagines something completely different. And getting to hear from him, and I'm like, hey, how'd you like it? He's like, oh, it was different than I thought it'd be. I'm like, yeah, you didn't know Dracula was about real estate. He's like, no, I did not.
Yeah.
I want to eat your
castle. The
castle.
thing that I was like, so have you guys ever read Bram Stoker's Dracula?
No.
I think we may have talked about this before.
I think I got a pretty good ways into it, and then it's not as interesting as Frankenstein to me.
Yeah, well, that's also a much shorter story, I think, too. Isn't it? Isn't Frankenstein a short story? Or maybe not.
No, I don't think it's as long as Dracula, though. You're correct in that.
The thing that I just was like, kind of like blew my mind was that it is the way the story is told is through a series of letters.
Yeah.
So the main character, there isn't really a main character, and like you just are reading someone's letter. So it's all like past tense of like, I went over to this person, and it feels very much like it's like almost like an what is an oral history sort of thing. You know what I mean? Where it's these different perspectives. It feels like it's like a precursor, almost like the way Game of Thrones is told. When Game of Thrones flips characters for chapters. And reading that, I was like, wait, how old's this book? Like, I just thought it was neat that they had like different forms of narration. I don't know. Like, it's always one of those things where like you like watch something that's old and you just like have this idea in your mind that if it's old, it's going to be boring and stuffy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
they didn't know what they were doing. Yeah, we figured it out.
Well, this is, I mean, that's one of my other like, not necessarily pet peeves, but like sort of slight annoyances when people talk, is they always talk about like humans as if we not collectively have gotten smarter, but individually have gotten smarter. Like humans are smarter now than they ever were, when in reality, humans are just as smart as they've ever been.
Yeah, we just have access.
We just have access to more. You know what I mean? But like, if you like, people have the same sense of humor. They still have like, they still like, there's like fart jokes as far as history goes back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and people just assumed that like, oh, it was fancier, it was nicer when they were, back in the day, and you're like, no, we've always been awful and gross.
Yeah.
And
oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
funny and weird,
Which is there is something very nice about that. There's something very leveling.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, things are bad, but like they've kind of always been bad.
Yeah, yeah. And also like at every point in history, when people were experiencing it, they always thought that they were at the height of technology. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the other thing that I find really funny is like, we've created the aqueduct system. We live in the future.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't have to poop in our own houses. This is going to change everything.
But we can.
When we can't. Yeah. We don't have to poop and leave the poop in our houses.
Yeah, we don't have to go somewhere else specifically to poop and use the shared sponge that Romans used.
Right. Anyways, but
well, now you get to just share it with just your household.
Yeah, you guys in your family sponge.
You have a poop sponge, right?
Yeah, and a guest poop sponge.
Well, I mean, you've got to put out a different one when people come over.
Well,
yeah, but
they're gonna know.
That's for all the guests.
It's courteous for you to bring your own poop sponge. Did you bring one?
Well, no, but
You better not be pooping in my house then.
No. I have my. Never mind.
Oh God, do I want to know?
I was gonna say I have it plugged up.
Gross.
Listen, 2025, I'm gonna get weird.
No, thank you.
What has changed?
I don't know. I'm gonna get weirder. What were we talking about? Oh, Craig saw Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Where would you put it in the Dave Eggers lineup?
Well, Dave Eggers, whew. No, I would put it right now. I'd probably put it second after The Witch. The Lighthouse is...
The Witch is an experience. It is.
It is.
I like you. I know you said you were kind of middle of the road on the Northman.
Yeah.
I liked it and I liked a lot of parts of it, but I can agree, like, compared to The Witch, it's like, yeah, that was good. That's fine.
Yeah.
But then The Witch was just like...
I love that time period.
Yeah.
And...
Well, it reminds you of when you grew up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the good old days.
It's full core, so that's just... It always hits a spot with me, but man...
That movie's great because, like, the scarier part is not the witch part. It's just existing in that time period.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Like, he and you said something that made me think that he kind of does the same thing in Nosferatu, where, like, just the existing in that time period is the scary part.
Yeah, the people who are not the 5 or 6 main characters suffer so much because one of the big differences between Nosferatu and Dracula is that Nosferatu brings a plague with him. And so, like, everybody's dying.
Sick.
Just literally everyone's dying. There's rats everywhere.
Which makes sense if he's like an ancient, decrepit, dying creature being. Yeah. I don't know if that's what he is. I'm assuming. I've only seen
he looks... I mean, I'm not going to spoil too much.
Yeah, don't spoil it because I know it's like a whole thing.
You do get to see his wang.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. I don't want to see a movie anymore if it doesn't have a wang in it.
All right.
You said wang, right? Not wing?
Wang. W-A-N-G.
Yeah.
I heard wing and I'm like, okay, that's a new one for Nosferatu.
You get to see his wing. His one wing? Does he only have... Am I misremembering Nosferatu?
I was going to say, is he Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts 2?
Yeah, he's just got one big old wing.
Wait, does Sephiroth have the one wing in the game? I think he does.
I think
One
he
Winged
does.
Angel is the name of the
One
song.
Winged Angel.
Yeah. I never got
it's
that.
Fine. It's fine.
I have beat Final Fantasy VII one time. I have started a new game in that game 3 billion times.
Yeah.
I have said this multiple times. I have Final Fantasy VII in my possession.
Mm-hmm.
It's yours.
Yes, you said that.
You let me borrow it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 15 years ago?
Yes. And I'm fairly certain I have your Devil May Cry on the PlayStation 2.
That's a good game.
I'm playing Devil May Cry 3 because Zach basically bought the collection for me. He's like, play 1. I beat 1. He's like, don't play 2.
That's what everyone says.
Don't do it. I'm like, okay.
It's weird and kind of bad.
Yeah. So I'm on 3, and
then 3's cool.
Yeah, 3's cool.
Yeah. I did not beat 3. I got fairly far into it, and then I haven't played anything after that because they're on 5 now. They've made 5.
I think so. Yeah.
I always get the Devil May Cry and the Metal Gear games, like and what people say about them, twisted in my head. Devil May Gear, because I didn't. Both of them are they both? No, they're not both Capcom.
Yeah,
right. Are they? No, I thought Metal Gear is Konami, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I answered like I knew.
Yeah.
I have no fucking clue.
Okay. Well, anyways, but they both like have like these like real long, and the main character switches a bunch, and like they're also like Japanese games trying to approximate like American characters.
Yeah.
And so they're just weird.
I remember playing the first Devil May Cry at Brad's house.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the coolest fucking game. This is me coming, like, young Phil coming from, like, a church-bound life, going into Devil May Cry in Brad's basement with no parents around. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then I went and bought the game, but I needed my dad to buy the game because I was too young. And he didn't know until we got to the register that it was, like, mature.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he just went, ugh. He just gave me like a sign, was just like, you tricked me. But I knew somewhere he was like, he tricked me. He gets this. He gets to have this game.
Yeah.
And I ate that game up. I loved it.
I have a very similar, the first time I ever played that game was over at Brad's house. We played it. It was on the PlayStation 2. And there's like the very first level, you fight like puppets with like blades.
Yeah.
And that evening, him and I went to go see Fiddler on the Roof at the Heartland High School was doing, and they did a dream sequence where the characters acted like puppets like that. And Brad and I were just like, oh, the puppets.
Hey, I was in that.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
were you the fiddler or the fiddle?
No, my sister was the fiddler.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's
nice joke, Will. It's not funny. My sister was. I was one of the bottle dancers.
Oh, I don't.
My brother was in it.
Quite remember what that means.
He said something about a territory becoming a state.
Oh, yeah.
But he kept saying territory. But he didn't say it during the shows.
Yeah. Fiddler on a hot tin roof. What?
Speaking of video games.
Yes.
I have so many things.
Okay.
I'm not going to go into all of them. And also this first one's not a video game. Guys, I watched all 5 Starship Troopers movies.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Oh, dear.
You guys asked me to do it, and I did it.
Yeah, I've been begging
yeah, you guys
for
were
months.
like, you guys were like, Phil,
I begged you not
have to watch all 5 of them.
Yeah.
And I definitely know there's 5. I'm Craig Norland. I definitely knew there was 5.
Hey.
I don't actually know if you didn't know, but a lot of people don't realize there are 5. There are 3 live action and there are 2 animated ones. I'm going to give you a quick rundown. First one, fantastic, cult classic, no notes.
You know what always throws me every time I see that movie?
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris is in it.
Yeah.
And every time I'm like, there's Neil Patrick Harris in this movie about space bugs.
Yep.
And he's basically a Nazi.
Yeah. And it's just, and I'm just like, I can't just keep seeing
his character comes back.
Oh, does he?
But he doesn't.
Oh, in the animated, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, he does not voice him. Second one. Mm-hmm. They turn it into a horror movie. There's not a lot of bugs, and it's not a great horror movie. So kind of a major disappointment. Third one gets back to what its roots are, which is shooting bugs and trying to do a satire of fascism, but maybe not really doing it that well, but it's okay because I'm not into fascism, so I see it as a satire.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of lean into that a little bit more, and there's a lot more bug killing, so that's cool. Decent. Not as good as the first one. Fourth one, pretty bad. Really bad dialogue. Animated, the animation's weird.
What year is this animation?
The animation 2017 or 2019,
wow.
and then
Okay. I didn't realize they were
21.
this like. So do you know? Do you know what country of origin the animation
Japan.
is? Okay. Gives me an idea of it gives my mind's eye an idea of what.
Yeah. Fourth one's not good. And so this next complaint might just be because I watched the dub and I don't know if there was a sub version. I didn't see it. But the dialogue is terrible. Just god awful. And the movie itself is not very good.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is a mix of it not being good to begin with, and then also
then you dub it, and
there is an art to dubbing, and there's an art to translating.
Yeah. Well, there's like the level 1 version of it where, okay, let me just take the translation that comes out of Google, and I'm going to read that line, and it's like, well, that doesn't make. Can you read that out loud to yourself before you print it? Because it sounds bad.
See, that just reminds me of like Dragon Ball Z, like the one I grew up watching, versus Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah,
Dragon Ball Z, watching it again as an adult who kind of understands how this works, like Funimation just like took so many things and just messed, like they made it work. You know what I mean? They were like, we're taking this and we're gonna mold it into a show we know teenage boys will like. And you can tell that they like changed some of the lines because there's no way that's what they were supposed to be talking about in Japanese. It's just like not how Japanese people talk or the humor that they have. You know what I mean? And whereas Dragon Ball Super,
when Goku kept saying like, "Oh yeah, we should make America great again."
Yeah, that was the weird part. I didn't love that.
I didn't like that saga,
but it was a fine one. You know what I mean? No, but I just mean like you could, and then like when you watch the Dragon Ball Super, it's clear that they've just like done much more of a straight translation. And this is the thing that like is sort of weird when it comes to watching, like, because Dragon Ball Z, people assume it's all just like super cool fighting, but Akira Toriyama was a humor guy, so he made. He included a lot of comedy.
Yes, my favorite profession.
Yes,
a humor guy.
A humor guy. Well, he wasn't a comedian.
Hello, everyone. I'm a humor guy.
Humorist. He's not a. Look, what do you call somebody who writes funny manga?
Oh, funny mangaman.
Yeah, funny mangaman. Anyways, I'm just saying, like, the translation matters. You know.
Fifth one, pretty good actually. Pretty good. I liked the fifth one, so I think I'd order it.
Good. This is what I was waiting for.
1, 5, 3, 4, 2.
Wow.
Would be my preferred order, or not preferred order, my ranking of them. One being like a mile above every other one, and the others are like, yeah, I guess this is passable for like 5 and 3. But Casper Van Dien, who plays Johnny Rico, he comes back in the third one live action.
Nice.
And then he voices Johnny Rico in the fifth one for sure. I can't remember if he voices him in the fourth one, but Dina Meyer comes back in the fifth one to voice Diz.
Cool.
So that's good.
I met her.
I know that, and I'm jealous of that.
Barely. She was in a terrible movie called Golden Shoes that I'm pretty sure you could only get on video on demand.
That sounds good.
It was. I actually never seen it, but I'm assuming it was terrible because of being on set and seeing what was happening.
Why were you there?
I was production assistant. Actually, I think on that one I was lead production assistant.
Ooh.
So,
you tell all the other PAs what to do?
I did. I told them all what to do, and they didn't listen to me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't listen to you.
Yeah.
Is it a soccer movie?
It is a soccer movie. So basically, the story of the production, which I don't really remember the story of the actual movie, is that this super rich dude. I don't remember this is the producer, the guy who made the movie, wanted to make a movie for his son to beat the star in, so that his son could then like catch the eye of casting directors and get into Hollywood. Yep, that's my name. Yep. And what does it say I am? Is it second?
Second. assistant director.
Oh, that's right. I was a second assistant director for one day because the second
William Jonas
was gone. So I acted as an assistant director for like a half a day. Anyways,
Nice.
yeah. And so that was, anyways, doesn't matter. Yeah, no. So he like so he just like, he had like a ton of money. So he just hired a bunch of like Hollywood or like, B-listers. Cause I think Eric Roberts was in it.
Yeah. And
John Rhys Davies was in it.
Huh.
Yeah. And Vivica A. Fox was also in it, I think. Yeah. She just like got all these people to do it. They, and he just like sunk a ton of money into it. And he was pissed all the time because he was like, why isn't this done? Why aren't we done making this movie? Why am I still spending money?
Have you thought about making a movie about that?
Yes. I actually wrote a script.
Okay.
I wrote a pilot episode of something called PA Nation, which was
Pa Nation.
because you would say, hey, PA Nation or something like that. Was like kind of like the code word for attention PAs or whatever. And it was just all about being a PA on a terrible thing. And
I like that.
I sat on it and I sent it to a bunch of people and I got a bunch of offers. No, that didn't happen at all. I don't think I finished it. I think I got about halfway through it and went, I've not been on enough movies to really know what this experience is like. So I should probably stop.
No. If there's anything about being a white man in America, it's that you don't have to have the experience to do the thing.
This is the one thing that I don't know how to instill into my sons and have them believe it, but I need to let them know that nobody knows what they're doing. You know how you feel like you don't know what you're doing? That's how everybody feels.
That's how everyone feels.
Nobody knows what they're doing. And if you act like you know what you're doing, but also you have to not ever care about making a fool of yourself.
Yeah. There's my problem.
That's still my problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It says here you're on your IMDb that you are the director of Lack of Appeal.
Oh, that never came out. Yeah.
You're the director. Gray Matters.
I don't remember that one. Was I a director on that?
Additional crew, it says.
Oh, I don't know what that was.
Yeah, it came out in 2014.
I don't remember that was. I mean, that might have been some.
You have an IMDb page?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's not hard to get.
That's still cool. That's my friend.
You just need. It's not impressive. It isn't. Anybody who's on IMDb knows.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Anywho.
Anyways, so I've also been playing Helldivers 2, which is great, and I just beat Space Marine 2, which is also great. Both video games, obviously. Helldivers is a sequel to a game I did play a bunch, and then Space Marine 2 is a sequel to a game I've never played. But I'm now getting into Warhammer because my other group of friends is bullying me, I guess, into being into Warhammer. So Jack got me a bunch of little guys that I'm going to put together this weekend with Steve. I don't know how many. I don't know the time frame of which it takes to put the guys together because I've never done it. So I don't know if I'm going to finish all 10 guys. Definitely not going to paint them all at that point. But Steve's really good at painting. So I'm hoping I can just kind of like do that thing where I'm really bad at it. And Steve's like, here, let me show you.
Is your friend Henry Cavill?
Yes. He is British.
Yeah.
My friend is British. So it could be Henry Cavill.
Could be, but it's not.
No. No, sadly. But Henry Cavill is just desperate to talk to somebody about Warhammer. He doesn't have enough people in his life, apparently, to talk about Warhammer with, because the second you ask him anything about it in an interview, he just goes on a whole thing about it, and it's very funny. And I feel like somebody needs to just, like, talk to him about it and have him let some of that, like, energy out.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny. Helldivers 2 is amazing, though. It's so cool. It's co-op, shooting up bugs or robots, or I don't know what the third guys are. They're like zombies, but also aliens. I don't know. It's a whole thing. But it is one of those games that is like super unforgiving because friendly fire is on, and there's swarms of guys everywhere. So you'll be shooting, and then you're like strafing, trying to get away from guys, and then you will walk in front of your teammate who has just shot a rocket, and it hits you and kills both of you. So the game's an absolute mess to play with random people on the internet, but it's very, very fun. Also, no, I don't have any more.
Oh.
I probably have more, but I won't.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you have anything? What's up? What's the bee in your bonnet right now?
What's the bee in my bonnet? Gosh.
We know that's a bad thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bad thing.
What's the bee in your butt? That'd be worse.
Better, I don't think. Speaking of Metal Gear Solid, I have been playing Death Stranding, which is Hideo Kojima's
God, yeah. You keep texting us about this game.
I think I'm going to start that tonight.
And it is my new favorite thing ever. I don't know if that'll be true in a year from now, but
Persona 5?
Yeah, it's I think Persona 5 is still better than this in my sort of video game world. But so like the plot of Death Stranding is like you live in this post-apocalyptic world where like basically there was like they don't explain anything well at all, which is very Hideo Kojima sort of. Am I saying that right? Kojima. Yeah. It's very Kojima. And by the way, like in Japan, something that I think is interesting is, you know how we have directors, we call them auteur or whatever, where you're like, oh, this is a Spielberg movie. This is a Wes Anderson.
Auteur.
They do that with video games in Japan, and we don't really do that with video games. So like,
we're very studio based.
Yeah, we're studio based. Yeah. So Kojima is like sort of like, he can like kind of do whatever he wants at this point. That's sort of Tetsuya Nomura is sort of like that too, where it's like, he's Tetsuya Nomura. He's going to do the Tetsuya Nomura thing. So like he'll spend 17 years on something and then not make it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Death Stranding, you play as a porter. So like in this world, like going outside is a terrible idea because like the realms of our life and like death have like combined in a weird way. So there are these things, they call them BTs. I don't know what it stands for because I don't think
butt
it was
tubes.
Could be. Like everywhere, which are these invisible like like basically dead people, ghosts that will like to pull you down to the afterlife and kill you.
Yeah.
And so in this game, you play as a character who is special because you can kind of see them. You can kind of see them, which most people can't. And you also can repatriate, is what they call, which is basically when you die, you can come back to life. So he's essentially immortal in a way. And the whole point of the game is that you're taking deliveries from one point to the next. So the game starts off and you're just like a guy with a really fucking big backpack walking in the wilderness, basically. And like, you have to make sure you're balanced and all this stuff, and your boots sort of wear out. And you're also like terrified because if it starts raining, the rain is called timefall, which means that your gear will, your gear and your delivery, the things you're delivering the case will slowly start to deteriorate. So it's like got this like kind of timed element to it. And then there's invisible monsters everywhere when it starts raining.
It stands for beached thing.
That makes sense because there's like this weird thing with beaches, which is like sort of like
there always is a weird thing with beaches.
Yeah, it's like in the game, like you go to
sand.
You go to a beach before you die, and then you go to the afterlife. But if you have like something called dooms or something, you can kind of access a beach and not die. It's very strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, and everyone's
sounds normal.
Yeah, everyone's got really funny names. So you're Sam, but you're a porter. So your name is Sam Porter, and then you start working for a company called Bridges. So then your name becomes Sam Porter Bridges, and you are tying knots across America for this strand of like the chiral network. So you're basically giving America back the internet, which is really funny. So it's also like weirdly patriotic because it's like, we're trying to bring America back together.
Oh boy.
They get so close to saying "Make America Great Again" like so many times.
Oh boy.
And the thing that's funny is it's made by a Japanese company. So it's like you're just kind of watching and going like, I guess this is what we look like. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is pretty right.
Like you get your energy back by drinking Monster Energy.
Oh no.
It's just like
That's just like me.
that's just like
I
you.
stopped drinking Monster Energy
Yes.
because I was drinking too much of it.
Yeah.
And I started feeling really sick.
Like you have a canteen. Your medical canteen is full of Monster Energy.
Listen, it's really good if you get the juice flavors.
No, but it's not actually what would rehydrate you. And then the other thing that you get
Okay, but what if it has like
ginseng,
vitamins and minerals in it?
I'm going to move on from this conversation. I'll send you a couple articles later.
Okay, thank you.
And the other thing that's really funny is you have strapped to your chest a fetus named BB,
What's weird about that?
which is a bridge baby. And that allows you to see and sense the invisible bad guys better. And the thing that's fun about the game is you're
feti are historically very good at seeing things.
Yes. Well, there's this whole thing with like umbilical cords and like
there always is, isn't there?
There's a lot of like weird motifs that you're like, this kind of connects, but like the baby is like, because it's like not alive, not born. It's like a specifically engineered baby that came from a dead mom. It's really weird.
Have you thought about making a not movie but skit about the creation of this game?
No, because
like what that boardroom meeting had to have felt like.
Who would that be for?
Me? Are you not just making content for me?
No.
Okay. Well, that's news to me.
Yeah. But what makes the game really fun is you're slowly like building this network, and everyone just like is like super positive all the time. So they're always just like, wow, Sam, you're the best. I'm so glad you do it. And so that you start to feel really positive. And then the other thing that's fun is you start getting stuff to make traversal easier, right? Like you'll get a motorcycle, right? At some point, but like there's a lot of mountainous stuff. So like that doesn't really work. So you end up you start building roads and zip lines and things. And when you start connecting these places together, the actual internet gets involved. So you will be walking along and it'll be something that somebody else built. So like my favorite thing to do is like create pathways to these places to make it easier. So I'll be like, I'll put a zip line down and I'll be like, okay, I need to put another zip line over here. And as I'm walking over there, I'll look and somebody else has built one there. Like just another person from the internet had built one in the same place and the game like put it in my game. So it's like, yes, I don't have to do it.
Oh, that's
cool.
know?
Or like you'll be walking along and suddenly there are these roads you can build and you have to like put a bunch of resources in, and something will be like, like player this person put a bunch of resources in your road you're building, and they'll help you build it for you.
Oh, a charitable donation. There's philanthropy.
Yeah, no, and yeah, it's fun because it like you like start build, and it's got like a fun like sort of like the thing that Kojima is really good at and really loves is sort of like playing on a theme constantly. And like the theme of you're connecting this chiral network, you're basically giving Wi-Fi back to America. And what it does is it connects you to the actual Wi-Fi, the actual internet. And so like you go from walking around this place that is completely barren and like devoid of life and full of terrifying monsters to a place that's like got a bunch of signs everywhere and like thumbs up of people going like, you got this, Sam, and like, here's some free stuff, Sam. And it's just like, I don't know.
Nice.
It's fun. And I think I'm very close to beating it.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to the end yet. And I'm like, this will make sense soon. And then a bunch of stuff just happened. I'm like, no, I'm further from it. I don't know what the story is. Haven't a clue what's happening.
You excited about the second one?
Fun.
I am excited about the second one because I'm excited because I saw a picture of a promotional picture, and it was the main character with the little kid. And I now, because I've gotten far enough in the game, know who the little kid is. And I was like,
is it Carl?
It's not Carl.
Oh,
anyways,
Carl.
Or at least I hope that's who it is. Anyways, so yeah. It's really fun. It's I don't think it's for everybody because it is a bit of a walking simulator, but it very much turns into like like at the beginning, you have no weapons. Your only weapon is a rope. And then I just got a bazooka. So it builds.
Okay, it builds.
Takes a while.
Yeah. Do you think they'd ever make a movie out of it that we could watch? No.
Yeah.
We'll have to settle for a different movie.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, we'd have to. You know what's interesting about this movie is there is like a lot of black tar in this movie. Not in this movie. In Death Stranding, there's like a lot of like goo everywhere.
Yeah.
And they don't really
like a weird substance on the ground, or what are you talking about?
That's right. We watched a movie. We watched The Substance, which is a 2004. Let me start over. Let me just jump off a bridge.
2004. Welcome to the future, everyone.
So The Substance is a 2024 body horror film written and directed, co-edited, and co-produced by Coralie Farge, possibly? I know it's French. It's starring Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, who is also in Death Stranding, and Dennis Quaid, 141 minutes long.
Good old DQ.
Yeah. $17 million budget. It made...
We call him the Blizzard.
It made $78 million. How do you think this movie is sitting on Rotten Tomatoes?
Oh, my God. It's got to be high.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say 94.
Oh, okay. Craig, what do you think?
I'll say I'll be a little more conservative on this, but not
you would
too
be.
Conservative.
You old son of a bitch.
I'll do 89%.
Craig nailed it. It's 89% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Fair enough.
Nice.
Fair enough.
With a 75 audience score.
What? Who is this audience?
I don't know.
People, they're so... If you read any...
I didn't understand this movie.
Why
was it weird?
No, Phil. God, I wish it was that. It is... Where are the dudes? There's no dudes. This is another woke mind virus. Can you believe that they put two women in a movie? Two of them in a whole movie? The bears. Think of the bears that would come because of the blood.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, you know? Yeah. Craig, you picked this movie.
I did.
Yeah.
Why?
You picked this movie a month ago.
More than that, I
think.
It
was a while ago.
We're doing our best.
I picked this for two reasons. One, because I heard about it earlier last year, probably in about September, and luckily it wasn't showing anywhere near here at the time, but they released it on Mubi. That's MUBI is the streaming service because they're the ones who own it. And so I saw it and I loved it. And the second reason is I wanted to torture Will.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I had a conversation with Phil about what I should pick next. And I'm like, well, I really want to do, because I was thinking about either doing that or, oh gosh, what was the horror movie with Nicolas Cage that you saw, Phil?
Wait, the Arcadian? No, that's new.
No, it was over the summer. Why am I forgetting
What
this?
did I see with Nick Cage over the summer?
Mm-hmm.
Nick Cage.
Well, we'll get back to it, maybe.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Long legs.
Long legs, yes.
There it
I'm
is.
sorry. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do long legs. And then you're like, oh, I just watched it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not going to work then.
I would have watched it again.
I know.
It's
we may
really
still do
good.
it. Hey, if it lines up. But like, I like to do that, but I really want to do The Substance, but I can't do that to Will. He would be way too uncomfortable.
Yeah,
And then I left it there, and then I'll just like maybe even an hour later, I'm like, no, I should fucking do this.
Yeah.
And
because I just know.
Yeah, and I can confirm, I can say, because the three of us watched it together, Will was uncomfortable.
Yeah, I watched a couple bits through my fingers. Yeah.
Or it just did not look
or
at all.
I just made eye contact with Phil.
The part where she has to like reset her knee.
Didn't even look at it.
You didn't look. You literally
I don't know what
just
happened.
couldn't.
I don't know if she ever got there. I don't know if she did.
Oh man. Okay, so none of us had seen this one. Obviously, it's like a pretty brand new movie. This is
Besides me.
Yeah, Craig had seen it.
Oh yeah, you had seen it.
Yeah.
Well, shoot. So you watched it a second time.
Yes.
Did you catch anything? Was there anything of value that you caught during the second one, or was the second one more just to like so you could watch Will squirm?
It was mostly to watch everyone react to everything because, especially at the end,
that's got to be fun.
Oh my god, it was so fun. Especially the ending, the reveal of
Eliza Sue, Monstro Eliza Sue.
Monstro.
Spoiler alert.
Eliza Sue, yeah.
Yeah. So, do we want to do a quick
just quick go through
of what the film is?
Yeah.
So I guess I can do it. So basically, the movie is the story of Demi Moore's character, who is named Elizabeth
Sparkles. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Elizabeth Sparkles, who is basically a Jane Fonda type, I suppose.
Who had an acting career, got an Oscar, and then she moved on to doing
aerobics type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Jane Fonda did, I guess.
Yeah.
So the movie opens with her like at the end of her career, basically, or how she now views it as the end of her career. She's getting fired by Dennis Quaid's character, who is her producer or head of the whatever network.
Who is named Harvey.
Harvey. Really? I don't think
I caught that.
Which is a little bit on the nose.
Oh, right.
But, okay, but for this movie, that's actually pretty subtle because 2 out of 3 of us didn't catch it.
Yeah.
Nothing else in this movie is subtle.
This movie is not subtle at all. Like, it opens up with her Hollywood star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame or whatever, and it's just like a montage of it slowly but surely deteriorating over time, and people like one of the most upsetting scenes was at the very beginning when this guy drops a hamburger on it that is just like slathered in ketchup. It is
it's so much that I initially thought it was like a bowl of spaghetti.
Yes.
It's so much sauce.
And instead of going, oh, well, you win some, you lose some,
he scrapes
it all up with his bare hands. And I was like, why are you picking that up like an animal?
Why are you picking it up at all, let alone this way?
He was yelling at the TV.
Yes, I was yelling at the television. And he like just slaps it. And then he's got like 2 completely ketchup covered hands. And he just like walks away. I'm like, what's the rest of your day look like
now, bud?
just what the hell? And that decision making sort of skills moves on to every single character in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, I texted you guys the day after, and I was like, God damn, if my dreams weren't really weird.
I bet.
Yeah. And then Caitlin was like, I had a dream about it too. She tends to, after we watch movies, has dreams about them where she's in the movie. And she was like, yeah, I just spent the entire time in Demi Moore's apartment because I didn't make any of the horrible choices.
Yeah.
Any of the characters did.
I retired and I was happy.
Yeah. So basically, she loses her job and she thinks she's old and ugly and gross. So she gets sort of a hint. I guess some guy like slips her a card and is like, there's this clinic that can change your life. And so it's a very cryptic. She like calls and he's like, what's your name? What do you want? Okay, down here, meet me here. And she goes and she gets this stuff called the substance. And it's like got all these weird instructions and she injects herself with it, right?
Yeah.
And I had no idea. I thought it was going to like de-age her.
That's what I thought going into it.
That is not what happens. So spoilers. I mean, we kind of already did, but she's basically births a second version of a younger, hotter second version of herself out of her spine.
Yes.
Yes. In a
Which
very
seems like the least efficient place to birth someone out of. I'm not an expert.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I'm not even going to bother.
But I feel like your mouth would make more sense than your spine. There are other things, but if we're going with like we're going with something that is not the obvious one, the spine's my last choice.
Yeah.
For birthing canal.
Anywho,
no, not anywho. I'm stuck on this.
So Margaret Qualley is basically plays her new self, her young self, or whatever.
Yeah, her like younger, essentially quote unquote perfect version of her genes.
Yes. And so she then goes and gets because they're recasting Demi Moore's job. So somebody needs to host the new workout show. And essentially, and so that's Margaret Qualley, who is Demi Moore, goes and gets her old job back as a younger, hotter version of her. And so basically that's the premise. And it's like, okay, so you're the same person, but and so she has to live 7 days as new Demi Moore, and then 7 days as old Demi Moore, or, well, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, pretend you're explaining this process to me. My first question would be, where is the other version of me during this time? I'm assuming somewhere comfortable, like in my
bare
bed.
naked on the in the bathroom floor the whole time. Yeah, with a big giant wound on your back, just butt ass naked for 7 days on a cold tile floor.
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah. Well, later they're gonna stuff you in a wall, but for now you're on the floor.
Oh, but in that wall is like a nice bed and like comfortable.
Just the floor, totally naked still.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically what follows is everything they just like do all the wrong things, you know?
Yeah.
So you're supposed to every 7 days switch off. Well, Margaret Qualley's the new Sue is like, well, I want an extra hour. So she takes an extra hour of time by sucking juice out of the spine of Demi Moore's character, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
And it makes Demi Moore's finger get all gross and weird.
Turns very ghouly.
It turns very ghouly. And then essentially Demi Moore's character falls into a depression and is like, my life is meaningless now. So she gets really gross and turns into a slob of a human being. So Margaret Qualley's character's like, and they're supposed to be the same person.
That's the biggest thing that the company keeps like pushing on her, is that there is no her, there is no like separate. It's you. You're both.
There's no you. There's no her. There is us, or something like that.
Like
right?
You're supposed to be one person during this process. It's just you're living in a different body. But the way the movie plays it, or at least the way that she is breaking that, like her older self is not her.
Yes.
But also the younger self is not her.
Yes.
It's
So it is sort of one of those movies that is frustrating to watch, because you're just like, hey, if you just made a right choice, we wouldn't have any of these problems. Like, these are all problems that you are creating. Just do the better thing and stop sucking so much, and maybe we wouldn't be dealing. But then, of course, the whole movie would have never happened in the first place. Anyways. So yeah, that's essentially the whole movie, and it all culminates with Margaret Qualley's character taking way more of Demi Moore's time than she should. Instead of doing every 7 days, she does like 3 months and turns Demi Moore into basically Gollum.
Yeah.
Which was the prosthetics nickname on set, actually, which I read in the trivia.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that was the first thing that I said.
So Demi Moore's character then decides to kill, because she's the Matrix, right? She's the original. She can end the process. So she tries to kill Margaret Qualley's character, decides not to halfway through the process, but then that causes them to both exist at the same time?
Yeah, they both exist. They both wake up.
And then she tries to finish the process, or rather, Margaret Qualley's like, well, I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah.
So she does, which is a bad idea because she needs her spinal fluid to live, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Margaret Qualley's character starts falling apart. And so the final thing, the very final thing that happens is Margaret Qualley's character's teeth are falling off, her ears are falling off, she's turning into a brundlefly.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know what I'll do. I'll use more of the substance to make a new version of me. And she essentially creates a Cronenberg monster of herself with Demi Moore's face on the back. And it's hilarious.
Beautiful.
It's once she turns into the monster and you realize that she staples Demi Moore's face like on her face.
A picture, not actual Demi Moore's face.
Yeah, because Demi Moore's face is actually on her back in a perpetual state of screaming agony.
Yes.
Yeah. And then she goes to this big event as this Cronenberg monster.
Yeah.
And everyone hates it.
The whole movie is so it's it's hyper. Like, and it's not. It's just
all sliders are set to 10.
Yes, yeah. It is loud. It is colorful. Everyone is like cartoonish.
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid's character is
one of the most disgusting
worst,
creatures I've ever seen.
Thing. Him eating shrimp made me want to die. That. I'm like, this is my nightmare. My hell would be me watching Dennis Quaid eat shrimp for eternity. Like, literally, that is the worst thing I could ever imagine.
Yeah. That's fair, because I saw it for 22 seconds. And it was pretty bad.
It was pretty gross.
It's not just the visual; it's the sound effects.
The sound, yeah.
Yeah, they like have a mic inside of his mouth. I'm assuming they're actually just making sound effects, but still.
Yeah. So the movie is like, and then it's also like sexually gratuitous.
Yeah.
Like Margaret Qualley's character is like so over hyper sexualized. It is. A couple times I'm like, this is like, I'm embarrassed for this to be on the television right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We did watch it with your wife.
Oh,
so.
yeah. But it was also like, I was just like, I just almost feel bad for this actress, almost like in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and which is also funny because like she plays a nerdy, soft spoken, like, young mother character in Death Stranding. So to watch, like, I was playing that game like minutes before you guys came over, and I was like in the middle of her chapter getting to know this character and her tragic backstory, and then to watch this, I was just like,
God,
this is like, it's like, I'm trying to think of like an analogy, but it's like when your mouth is on fire and you drink a bunch of soda or something. It's like, no, this doesn't work together.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So I'll ask this before we get into finer points.
Okay.
Initial reactions. Like, how did you guys feel?
Loved it.
Yes. I thought
absolutely loved it.
I thought it was incredible. It was very fun. I love hyper stylized stuff.
Yeah.
I love the gratuitousness of it all. I mean, I was grossed out by it. The thing that grosses me out about body horror stuff is not knowing what they're going to show me. It's the anticipation, like just not knowing what gross thing I'm going to see. And
your imagination is worse than what they're ever going to show you. But
every time,
that being said, you've imagined the thing and then they show you something that's not quite as bad, but is still pretty bad. So it just extends it.
Right.
It doesn't make it doesn't come back down quickly. Yes. It just kind of stays up.
Well, it's like
your
the scene,
gross out factor.
There is one scene where Demi Moore keeps like redoing her makeup because she's gonna try and go out on a date, and then she keeps seeing this poster of
that one was just sad.
Margaret Qualley's character, so she keeps going in and changing her makeup up and like wiping it off, but at the end she starts just like really scrubbing on her face, and that part started like really making me anxious because I thought they were going to pull like Poltergeist, where she just starts pulling her face off. So I don't know if you remember, I didn't see the second half of that because I was like looking through my fingers because I didn't want to see that. But like, if I was to watch this movie again, I wouldn't be doing any of that because I would know what's coming, and it wouldn't be gross to me because I'd be like, oh, that's all prosthetics. It's not real. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can see it. But when I first watched that kind of stuff, I like can't. And I'm like, I'm imagining just the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great. It is fun. It's fun in a really horrible way. You know what I mean? It's like,
it's like this and Hundreds of Beavers last year, and then Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like, it just seems like we're getting less and less unique, dynamic films that feel like they're offering a new voice to things.
Mm.
And
like a new voice to beavers.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I tried so hard to get Caitlin to watch that movie the other night. I was like, put that on. Because we got something through, I don't remember what it's called. It's not Hoopla. It's something else through. Canopy, yes, through the library. And it was on there. And I was like, put it on.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I'm going to put on Buffy. And I'm like, I'm going to play video games.
Buffy doesn't have beavers in it.
No comment.
No comment.
But yeah, unique voices.
Yeah. What were you saying, Greg?
Dynamic films, unique voices.
Yeah, it's just, studios, and this, like, I think Universal was who was going to pick this up, but they were like, this is a little too strange.
This is too risky. It's not going to guarantee make us money.
So that's the problem we're having right now with film distribution. There's a big film distribution problem because you have to get people to go through. People don't just go to the movie theaters to see a movie anymore. Like, it used to be, you'd be like, people are going. This is where people watch movies. It's the one place they watch movies, or at least new movies. But now, like, you can do, you know what I mean? And like, because everything comes out on video on demand, I'll be like, oh, the new this and that movie is coming out. I can't make it work in my schedule. I'll just wait for it to be out on Disney Plus in 2 months.
Yeah.
So there's a problem where they're like, they have to like guarantee they're going to make a bunch of money. And so what ends up happening is these things get bought up by Mubi and they never get distributed to make this big money, to make this big splash. And if they are fantastic, then they maybe get seen. But if they are just like mediocre, and a lot of times studios get dailies, they get screeners, they get to see these films as they're being made. And if they don't see what they like, they can like kill it. And then they're paying, then they have something where they're like not putting in the money to make it interesting. It's not going to get the audience. So then you have directors who like, maybe this is their first feature and they make something that's meh. And instead of making something that's meh that goes into theaters and then getting a second project, they make something meh and then they become something that they don't want to make another. They don't want to risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're having like this. That's why, like, and then like for a while it was like, oh, TV is where that you know what I mean? And so like, but now everything's, I think, is spread too thin. You know, it's like nobody knows where to watch anything. I don't know what streaming service even to own anymore. Like, I have Disney Plus because my kids love Disney movies and Spider-Man, and I love Star Wars, you know, and then like that's the only one I pay for. I think I pay very little for Hulu, and I pay for it with ads, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, like people are like, this is great. You'll love this. And I'll be like, oh, how do I watch it? It's on, don't have it. You know, if it's not The Mandalorian, I'm not seeing it, you know?
It's on this niche Hungarian streaming service.
I really want to see what is the new Ben Stiller and Adam Scott thing?
Oh, Severance.
I really want to watch Severance, but
it's on Apple.
It's on Apple. I don't have Apple, and I'm not going to pay for Apple.
If we had it still, I'd let you onto ours, but we don't
now
have
they're
it
getting
anymore.
wise to that, and you get all these like weird error things where they're like, we know where you are, buddy.
Hey, you were at this house, and now you're at this house.
Hey, buddy.
Here's an email. We know where those houses are.
Yeah, we know these
if you
things.
know what I mean.
But you know what? You can have it so that you can have a different one if you pay us the same amount you would have paid a cable company. And you're like, what's happening?
What have we done?
What have we done? What have we done? We haven't done anything.
We did all of this.
No, we're consume.
Okay, let me get us back on track.
Got him.
I love movies and just stories in general, books about science gone wrong.
Yes.
Like
you do.
The hubris of it all.
You do.
Yes.
And I feel like I knew that in like some way about you.
Yeah.
And it's all just crystallized that is a Craig thing.
Yeah, that's very much, that's in line with a lot of you're like an old school, is it Universal who did all of the like the werewolf stuff? Yeah. All of those are like the same level of thing of like,
Yeah, Frankenstein, the Invisible Man,
Portrait of Dorian Gray, kind of.
Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde. It's all science gone horribly wrong in some cases, and this is one of those things where it's not really the science that goes wrong.
It's the use of science.
But that usually is what goes wrong, though. You know what I mean?
It's like
true. I mean, that's
science. Just
humans
is.
are the problem.
That's what happened with The Fly. You know, The Fly. He made something that worked.
Yeah, the science was sound.
The science was sound, but then he got drunk and jealous, and he used it when he shouldn't have. You know?
Yeah. using science. What are we trying to say here, Craig? What are we? There's something there.
Yeah. No, it's a hard to watch movie because it's one of those where I can see people who aren't used to watching these sort of challenging movies. And I do think this movie is very challenging to watch. I think for a general audience, they might be confused on why, there's no subtlety to this movie, but also
there's no subtlety to like the
presentation,
the top tier look at it.
Yeah.
But like there is a lot going on underneath that surface of like a bright, gross, dynamic movie.
Yeah.
That it's obviously saying a lot about women in that industry, but it's saying a lot about women everywhere. And
so I have a slightly controversial take on this, which
you're choosing the man.
Yes. Yeah. What?
And not the bear.
That's right. No, I had a
the
weird...
man is Dennis Quaid with shrimp.
Yes. I'm not picking that man. So this movie had an interesting sort of like, I always tend to lean towards like, so movies like this feel a little bit like a morality play. Do you know what I mean? Where it's just sort of
I love
like
a good morality play.
Yeah, but the thing that I felt weird about this movie is this movie sort of felt like, so Hollywood like loves movies about Hollywood. Hollywood loves talking about the problems of Hollywood.
If we talk about it, we don't need to do anything.
We don't actually need to do anything about it. And that's kind of, this movie in a weird way felt toothless to me, because it felt like it was trying to say something about like the messaging Hollywood puts out. But the only person who is affected by the messaging that Hollywood puts out is Demi Moore's character in a weird way. Like, I mean, Dennis Quaid's character obviously is essentially Hollywood, right?
And he's perpetuating it,
but the only victim is Demi Moore that we see, and then another version of Demi Moore, right? We don't see anybody else, right?
Well, what the director was talking about is a big reason that the Monstro version of her explodes and like sprays blood on everyone is because kind of a sign of like, this is the people there, that's society, and they're shoving their expectations on you. And, even if you're trying to be your authentic self, they're most likely not going to like you. And so this is her finally exploding under all that weight.
So I understand that in the context of a broader conversation, but I'm saying within the like sort of the movie, there's no Demi Moore's character feels like she's so the thing that is let me try and focus this, because it's like she is perpetuating this idea that like in order to be perfect she has to look a certain way, but she's also an exercise guru, so she's putting forth that idea as well. Do you know? And then she's learning, and then she so it's sort of, it feels like she's doing it to herself the whole time. Which, do you know what I mean? And this feels, it's weirdly victimless in a weird way.
That's where I think the second level down or like third level down is where like it does feel like she did that to herself.
Yes.
But the way I'm seeing this movie is that she didn't have a choice but to do that. I don't think she chose to, like my sort of headcanon or whatever is like at the beginning you see her career as it's going, it feels like she was a strong, powerful woman in an industry that didn't want her to be there. So they pushed her to this like fitness person role.
Yeah.
And then she did that for like 25 years or whatever. She didn't, I wasn't getting the vibe that like she specifically or what am I trying to say now?
Yeah.
Like she didn't have a choice but to do it to herself.
Oh yeah,
because it's the only option for moving forward or doing anything or staying in
and that's
that world.
I think maybe that's why I feel like it's sort of like, hey, we're Hollywood, we do this. This is a Hollywood thing. This is a Hollywood problem. So it doesn't feel. I think part of me is sort of like it doesn't. It feels a little masturbatory within Hollywood because the problem is Hollywood, and it's sort of like, I guess, as somebody who like I didn't care that she destroyed herself. I didn't feel sorry for her. Yes, I know that she was living in sort of a sexist world, but like Demi Moore's character, I don't have a lot of sympathy for, because like, take away her job and her success, she still has the penthouse apartment and the reputation and the fame. Do you know what I mean? She still has stuff that most people never get.
Yeah,
and
she's still also mean.
Well, yeah, right.
Like she's not like we don't see anything of her in this movie being a decent person.
No, and so like that's what I mean. Like it sort of felt like it it found a way to sort of like.
But
I don't know. I felt like there was like this isn't. So this like I should have prefaced this like this isn't. I'm not critiquing this movie in any real. I'm not saying like this makes this movie lesser. I'm just sort of like this was an odd. I'm trying to.
You said it was a hot take.
Yeah.
I totally see what you're saying. Is
Yeah,
that like we've kind of. It's almost a straw man of like we put up this sort of victim and like perpetrator that are real. Obviously they named Dennis Quaid's character Harvey. Like these are obviously based on real things, but yeah, toothless I feel like is a decent word. Like this, it has a lot to say, but it doesn't say it.
It's also
it doesn't say it very strongly.
It's saying, and the things it's saying
sometimes.
are things they're saying it about itself. It feels like it'd be like a movie if I made a movie all about my flaws. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then said like, isn't this super relatable? And they'd be like, yeah, parts of it, but like, it was mostly just like you pointing out everything wrong with you.
Which is a lot of movies.
It is. There is a lot of movies that do that kind of thing. Yeah. I just noticed it more because it's like, I get a little, it's like it feels like the elite talking about the elite a little bit.
Yeah.
And when I'm at a point where in my life where I'm like, hey, I kind of don't care about stories about rich people. You know, I'm you know what I mean? So maybe I'm adding an element into this that is sort of
I think so. The one thing I will
that being said, I loved that she exploded on everybody at the end. That was the best part.
Her blood is on their hands.
Yes.
Literally. There's
And
nothing subtle about this movie. So one of the parts that super, super humanizes the character, really the only thing that ever humanizes her across the entire movie, really, is Freddie, the old high school guy who finds her outside of a hospital, and he's also old, and he's like, hey, I'm just a genuine guy. I'd like to ask you on a date. And she's like, oh, yeah, write down your number and maybe I'll call you. Because this is before she's still like famous and she's still mad and she's still whatever. And then later on, she's like realizing that she is absolutely alone, which is really what this movie is like. Yes, it's talking about rich people being alone, and it's talking about like people who maybe have put that on themselves to be alone, but it still sucks.
Yeah.
But she's lonely. She calls the guy, which still to me, I'm watching that scene. I'm like, okay, this is humanizing her, but only a little bit because she's only finally calling him because she's lonely and she has no friends. And she realized that she's kind of mean and not a good person and nobody likes her.
I don't see that. I think to me, I was watching it. She's calling him because she wants to feel pretty again. She wants to use him.
No,
to
that's
feel,
what I'm saying. It's it's like
she's still using him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's still bad in this, but it humanizes her a little bit.
Okay.
The next scene is what does it.
Yeah.
The makeup scene that you had talked about I feel like when we get like this real glimpse of this like panicked woman that doesn't know what to do.
Yes.
in this situation. She keeps like wiping her makeup off, and then she leaves, and there's that giant billboard of young hot her, and she's like, oh no, I gotta like change my makeup, and it's like no, I gotta wipe that off, that's not good enough. And then she stands up Freddy, her like last chance, the last straw of like her still existing or still even wanting to exist as the older version of herself.
Yeah.
The thing about that, though, is to Freddy, she is still just like, I think that's why she has such a problem, is because he focuses on her being pretty.
Yeah.
That's what he keeps like, oh, I always thought you were the prettiest girl. Mm-hmm. And
that's true.
He's a very, like, I really feel he really rides that line between this guy's kind of a creep.
Is he genuine or is he a creep?
Yeah, because I mean, we've all met people like that.
Yeah.
And I completely understand why initially she would be like,
oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Oh, it totally makes sense that she'd be wary of guy who says, because she doesn't recognize him.
No.
That's the other thing to like add to that scene, is that like she doesn't recognize him. So that's another thing where it's like she is living in this world that like no choice she makes is safe.
And also
so every choice she makes is the wrong choice.
And she can't trust anything anybody says. Doesn't matter who it is.
No.
She can't trust anyone to be genuine. And this guy's telling her things like, oh, you were always the prettiest. And so now, since she's gotten herself into this situation, she can't go anymore because she can't be the old self that she was.
Yeah.
Because even like this guy has a vision of her from
she
way
crossed
back
the
when.
Rubicon.
Yes.
Is that a phrase?
Mm-hmm.
Which goes also into what Will was saying, kind of, where like she can't trust that anyone's going to be genuine, which is such a like celebrity thing.
Yeah.
Which is also, I guess, viewing it that way, I'm like, oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care about you.
Yeah, I have a hard time, like, you know, it's like lonely rich people, you know, it's like all those people who are like, money can't buy happiness. And I'm like, yeah, but it can buy a jet ski. And those are pretty fun.
Actually, scientifically, money can buy happiness up to a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
And then it adds no more.
It's almost as if they're not talking about money and they're talking about greed. They're almost saying like, they're not saying money doesn't buy happiness. What they're saying is like, hey, at a certain point, greediness and addiction to like sort of accumulating wealth, like Smaug the dragon, starts to feel bad. And it's, oh, cool. Glad. Oh, I'm glad you got there. So,
yeah, I'm still going to do it. But I'm glad we talked about it.
I'm so glad. Well, must be nice. Must be nice.
I think though. I can see what spin you're putting on this.
Yeah.
But I can also see this as a movie that like is genuinely trying to say something important and good.
Yeah. I see that as well. And I'm just kind of coming in as, you know, Will with his hot takes.
I think I understand what you guys are saying. I think we're looking a little too deep, because I don't think it's that deep, because we don't need to like.
Well, see, I think
it's onions.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe that is my critique of it, is that it feels shallow.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, but it also feels like it's trying to say something, and so it feels like it's being shallow and also trying to say something. So that's where I'm like looking for layers, and they're just not there. And so, in a weird way, it feels like pandering almost. It's like I don't know. So this is me just sort of like going like, yeah, am I angry? Am I just being sexist and going like, hey, it's a movie with women in it, and it has to tell more of a story. It can't just be gross.
So now what I'm wondering. Is after we've recorded an hour?
Yeah.
Should we have had a woman on this episode?
The answer to that is every single episode. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Listen, if you are listening to this and you want to get in on every single recording of this and give your take, and you're not a white man with glasses,
bring
and facial hair.
Yeah. Bring your own gear and then take over editing for me. That would be great as well.
Yeah.
And we can't pay you.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, there's no money. Also, you'll have to spend money
anywhere.
to...
There's also no fame or audience.
You'll have to spend money to watch some of these movies, because they're not streaming anywhere.
But I am on IMDb, so
Will's on IMDb, so he's famous.
I am basically.
And honestly, you should add this podcast to your IMDb page.
Yeah.
Do they have podcasts on IMDb?
I don't know. It's the International Movie Database. Oh, but they have video game. I don't know what they do anymore. Yeah, they probably do. No, IMDb credit was like literally how that's how you lure young hopeful artists into working on your film for free. Is you'll get on IMDb, it's exposure. And I was like,
I was in a band. I know all about getting paid with exposure.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, who's going to see this? What do you mean? Who's going to see your movie?
Stop showing me your butt, bar owner.
Yeah.
God, that never happened.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just like, well, who's going to see this? Oh, tens of people will see this. And who are going to care about who's going to care about there's a production assistant?
It's mostly just like
nobody. Free
drinks, and I'd get like $40 at the end of the night.
Dude, I didn't
for
even get
hauling
that.
the drums
across town. That would have been a win with some of the PA jobs I did for.
Why do you think I kept doing it? It was awesome.
Yeah. That's Anywho,
free drinks all night, and then I get $40.
Woohoo! $40. That's half a video game.
Yeah.
Do that twice a night. No, wait, twice a week. You got a whole video game.
I did have a few times where I had a gig twice a night.
Wow. Okay.
So
Anywho, I think we need to finish this up. Wrap this one up.
Yeah. Craig, say words.
Well, I just wanted to say that in general, if you were a movie fan, I think also like a classic movie fan, there are so many references in this.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of The Shining, a lot of the set design, but even like some of the movements, some of the things people do.
So, yeah, Margaret Qualley's character pulls out her teeth and then fingernails, and then her ear falls off, which is exactly what happens to Jeff Goldblum's character in that order in The Fly.
Yep.
Dang.
Yeah.
I mean, I just was watching shorts about, the one that stood out to me besides The Shining was Reanimator.
It's too cold for shorts.
Phil.
Sorry, you said Reanimator?
Reanimator, because it's like you have the substance being like bright green.
Yeah.
And it's very much like Reanimator. I mean, there are so many just individual shots, whether it's like Lost Highway, 2001: A Space Odyssey. There is a lot going on. Psycho, for sure. So there is something there for everybody. Is this a movie for everyone? No, I don't think so. But just watching her take the face off the poster and staple it or whatever onto her own face.
Yeah, she super glues it to her own like monster face.
Yeah, and the fact that no one reacts until it falls off is the funniest part of the whole movie.
Yeah, even that's not like a subtle.
No,
that's just a thing on plastic surgery.
And just everyone just standing up and screaming and kill the monster.
This movie's such a vibe.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. Is that like, is it saying a lot when you get really down to it? I don't know, but it's a vibe, and it's a vibe about saying things about stuff.
Yeah,
and I like that. I like a vibe.
Yeah, no, it's a good movie. It's definitely
Now,
my complaints aren't complaints. This is just how I see the world. I go like, this is good, but is it perfect? Let's talk about it.
This is good.
What is perfect?
How can I ruin it?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay, got it.
Now, you said this movie is good. Could you put, say, hypothetically, a number between 1 and 5?
Yes,
I have 1 and 5 included.
1 and 5 included. Okay.
Yeah. Does not have to be a whole integer. You can give me fractions.
I can't do those. I think I would give this movie 5, pulling a whole chicken leg out of your belly button out of 5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
That's a good one.
I do think this is a great movie, and I think people should watch it. Absolutely. And the lady who made this, whose name I can't say because it's French and I'm uncultured, I think she should make more, and they should give her more money to do more stuff.
They should give her more money to do more stuff. Yes, I support that 100%.
They, are you hearing they?
Yeah, they. They listens to all the podcasts.
Some non-binary person is like, what?
What?
Yeah, excuse me. Phil, what about you?
I'm going to give this 5. I don't think Dennis Quaid washed his hands after using the urinal in that very unsettling scene where we're way too close to his face out of 5.
Yeah, as the introduction to his character.
Yeah. There were a lot of scenes in this that were too close to the person's face. And I know it was done on purpose, and I know it was done to have that effect on me specifically. And it worked. I didn't like it. It was uncomfortable. I don't need to be that close to anyone's face. Except for Fitz's. My dog.
Craig, what would you give this?
Give me a number, bro. Bro.
I mean, it's 5 out of 5 for
Skibbity
sure.
that number over here.
No skibbities.
Oh.
Something funny. I know it is surprisingly a very funny movie.
Yeah.
It is very funny.
Just like 5 out of 5 pretty girls should smile.
Oh. Yeah. Or the
all
5
the guys in
I was gonna say 5
white,
out of 5 like old white men who I think maybe were the same actor. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, they all look the exact same.
It was funny. It was all the extras from Will Ferrell's Entourage from the Barbie movie.
In the fact that like with the event that they're doing for her for aerobics start is a New Year's Eve. It's such a weird.
It's like a New Year's Eve play,
but also
/ dance.
All the women are nude.
Yeah, it didn't. The world didn't make any sense. At all.
It was just.
But like, does our own world make sense, man?
Oh no! Here we go.
Yes.
Oh.
Phil.
Okay.
That's actually part of. It doesn't matter, Phil.
Phil, your pick is next.
Yeah.
And do you want to describe what we're doing here?
So I'm gonna do this thing, and
no.
What?
I think we're gonna start doing a thing.
Oh, we're gonna do this thing.
I think we should do this thing.
Okay,
now.
so here's what we're gonna do this year. We're gonna do a 1 degree of separation. So we're gonna watch a movie, and then the next movie is going to be a degree of separation from that.
If only there was a game like this involving movies to help illustrate what we're doing.
You're thinking of Codenames.
No, I don't think that's it. Oh, I know what it is. 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. We're doing.
No, I think it's going to be Demi Moore 1.
So we're basically going to do a version of 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, except for as that game illustrates, it's super easy to do that.
Yeah.
So we're just going to do 1 degree. So if we can find the same director, same actor, same cinematographer, same editor, same whatever, we're going to try and daisy chain all of our movies.
Yes.
This year.
I think this is going to be fun.
Yeah. As more of a
I do need to give credit where credit is due. This was 100% my idea, and definitely not Jack's idea that I stole.
When Phil says things like that means he's lying, and the opposite is true.
Yes. But I am going to do something that I had talked about in the last episode. I'm going to pick Ghost because it is 1 degree away because Demi Moore is also in Ghost, and it's a Swayze movie.
Wow. I wonder who thought of that movie.
I thought of it before you said it. That was going to be my thing. What I was going to pick, but I was like, I don't know if I want to do the 6 degrees of separation. What if I want to watch a monster movie?
Even though you started the text thread off with,
I don't know what movie to pick. Yeah, because I'm between Ghost and a monster movie.
I gave you a great option, Nothing But Trouble, a not very good Demi Moore Chevy Chase movie.
But it was already going to be Ghost or a monster movie.
No.
I just didn't say that.
I'll make you guys watch it someday.
Yeah. Nothing But Trouble? You could force Will to pick it.
Isn't that
we just end up doing
that's a Dan Aykroyd. Yeah.
We just end up doing only Demi Moore movies.
God.
These all have Demi Moore in them. It's a Demi Moore podcast.
No, I'm going to be anyways.
It's called Gimme More.
All right, so we're watching Ghost. That's pretty good.
Phil, I think you surprised yourself with that too. That was a jump scare.
Oh God, I said something funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we're watching Ghost.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
watching Ghost. But yeah,
Sick,
so
bro.
we'll do that.
Thank you for liking and subscribing to the podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. If you want to tell us if you've ever pulled out any sort of food from your belly button.
Mm-hmm.
I had at no point in that did I know where you were going.
Yeah.
I'd like to say I've never pulled food out of my belly button,
Really?
but I know that cannot be true. All right, so this episode was brought to you by Jack Kessel.
It's my wife.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. She sounds nice. If you are interested in helping support us and hearing your name shouted out on the podcast, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/mumbleandtrug.
If you like what you heard, consider leaving a review or sending us a bottle of the substance that we can try ourselves.
Nice.
And become our younger, more perfect selves.
I don't want to meet him.
Yeah, they probably suck.
Yeah, he's definitely sexist. Okay, never
Just
mind.
really
Moving on.
annoying.
Yeah.
That's all for this episode. I am Phil Kessel.
I'm Will Jonas.
And I'm Craig Norland.
Don't watch movies unless we tell you to.
Bum, bum, bum.
You are one.
Brought to you by Mumble and Shrug Productions.